What's up, guys? Excited to jam with you today. We're taking our worship playing to the next level. Today we're going to go through some ambient swells, some reverb drones. We're going to go through some different things that you can use from effects to just get a different tone. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's the point of this. It's not just to make you better, but to make you more creative, make you have a lot more fun when you're worshiping. Makes the whole experience a lot more enjoyable. So we're going to start with Reckless Love. Whether you're familiar with this song or not doesn't matter. It's a super cool song and yet very basic. It's played in churches all over. So picking up where we left off last time, I'll give you a quick, here's how you're probably used to seeing people play it, and then the option of what we did last time, and then we're going to dive into the new stuff. So the chords, E minor, D, C, and G, sounds like this. For reference, that lead line sounds like this. So that's kind of how the chords sound. What we did last time is we just threw some intervals on there. I'll play it a couple different ways, but again, we're playing, in this case, oftentimes in a worship setting over an acoustic, over keys, over piano, over something. So you don't need the fullness of those chords. So we talked about just doing intervals, which sounded more like this. Keep in mind, to keep it fun, you don't always have to just descend. If you're in an altar call for 15 minutes, you want to play other chords than just the bar chords or just that same interval. You can sometimes go to octaves, you can go to thirds, you can go to fifths. So you can play here, do thirds, then the next time you can do fifths. Or if you want to just really strip it down, think of an A chord. This is your A chord down here, right? Well, if I want to play this A chord, this shape that is, but bring it into another key, it's kind of like if I was fretting down here. There is no fret there. It's open. So if I move it anywhere else on the neck, I got to obviously bring that fret with it. So I'm barring it. So point is if you want to just stick to the A version of a chord, whether it's minor or major, you can do that, and instead of playing that full chord, you could just do the intervals. So you really only have to remember, 3 strings over and 1 fret up, or 3 strings over and 2 frets up for major. And then you can do the same thing, but play it in different places. So instead of going down to D, you could go up to D. So you're staying on the same 2 strings the whole time. Same thing could be done, and we'll get into the new effects here, I promise, but same thing could be done on the bottom E string. So if you know your typical E chord, just an open E, if you're going to play that anywhere else on the neck but in a different key, you got to bar it. You got to bring the first finger with it. So if we're going to play that, you could do, again, it's the positioning is the same, plus or minus a fret if it's minor or major, but it would sound so you've got all those chords right there on either the A position or the E position. Pretty slick. Today what we're going to do is actually build upon that and embellish it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a lot of reverb to this. Right now I've got my mix and my decay cranked, and you could use this. This works so well because it works whether you're a one-person band or you got maybe one person backing you up, because it fills up the atmosphere so nicely. Or if you've got 5 or 10 people in, then it adds this awesome pad underneath. So either way, this concept can work. But I'm going to give you an idea of what the dry tone is. So no reverb at all. And then if I crank this, it sounds like this. which at first glance sounds like overkill, but when you're doing something like a swell, a volume swell, sounds really pretty when there's a lot of music behind you. If you're doing something like exact same thing we did before, but now we're just volume swelling it in with all that reverb. And then you could go up. So again, all I'm doing there is, I'll show you my pedal board just so you can see the mix, but any cheap reverb pedal, any amp with reverb built into it would do this. You're just going to want to crank it. If it's a pedal, you're going to have your decay and mix really high. Mix is typically how loud the effect is. Decay is kind of like how long it lasts. But that's one option. The other one that's really cool, that's just a volume swell, but the other one is called, it's called like a drone. And what you're doing there is you're going to play it a lot more where it's going to sound like this. Again, it's going to sound a lot more like this. So all I'm doing there, you probably could see, but it's just kind of taking your first and your thumb, and you're just kind of pushing them back and forth or playing them up and down. You're just kind of really picking fast, but the attack is really light. We're not plucking the strings hard. We're almost barely touching them. But if you'll notice, you can hear all that without the reverb. But when you throw the reverb on, you can't really, it just sounds like one. That's why it's called a drone, or this ambient sound, because it sounds like you're in this massive place. And you could, I guess if you really want, you could swell it too, mix the two of them. What else is cool is I love to use this one, not so much the drone, but more the swells with the reverb cranked during clean, because you can see how it sounds just beautiful if you're, just sounds really pretty. You could do the chords. You could do the intervals. So there's a lot of things that you can do with that. One thing that I just want to stress is, if you play praise and worship, which you probably do, but if you also play country, if you play blues, if you play rock, if you play pop, so much of that music, which we all know and love, it's the same roughly 4 chords in a lot of it. And really just changing the key. So how do you make the song sound different? And it's a lot of these effects. And that's what we're really, if you like this lesson, you're going to love the next one, because that's where I'm going to go beyond reverb. We're going to introduce tremolo. We're going to introduce maybe some vibe. We're going to introduce some delay, so that you can see how just adding a little bit of an effect can help influence what you're going to play depending on the genre. And so much of it is based on just some of these intervals that we're talking about, but the sound you're going to get is drastically different. And that's what is, it's all that ear candy buried underneath in every one of those tracks. I'd love if you comment, message me, like, what's the genre that you're playing? The other thing I'd love if you leave a comment on is just your experience level. Like, hey, I'd love a further breakdown on the intervals because it was a little too fast, or, if you've getting it, then let me know that, because then we can go a little bit faster. But I want to make sure this is helpful for you. Also, guys, it'd mean a ton to me if you drop a like, hit the subscribe button. You will always be notified when I get a new video. You're not going to get spammed with a bunch of stuff, but that way, as I release further renditions of this, you'll be notified. It motivates me to keep releasing these for you, because it's really just doing it just because I love helping people. So that means a lot. If you do that in return, I sure appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, rock the journey. God gave you this gift to worship for a reason, so have fun with it. Really enjoy it. And before you know it, you're just going to see all kinds of fun things happen when you're up there playing, and that's what it's all about. So thanks again. We'll see you on the next one. Talk soon, guys.